Hello, this is Mrs. Clark. I have one of my favorite stories that I've read recently, and it's called Those Darn Squirrels. We're actually going to be reading this in digital learning this year and doing a little bit of a challenge based on this book. So I thought I'd read it here for you again. It's called Those Darn Squirrels, and it's written by Adam Rubin and illustrated by Daniel Salmieri. Those darn squirrels. I think my kitty wants to hear the story too. I always like to read the dedication because you can tell a little bit about the authors. And they are real people, you know. It says, "To my father for his love of backyard bird watching and Breakstone brand dairy products, and to my mother who sleeps like a horse." So AR, that's the person who wrote this. And then to Dad and Aurea for all your support. The S is actually the illustrator. And so both of them say, and of course to Corey, "Let's go Mets." Somebody must like baseball. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house. The only thing older than the little house was the man who lived in it, Old Man Fuchswire. Old Man Fuchswire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out. He was also a grump. He hated pie. He hated puppies. Who hates puppies? The only thing he liked was birds. All summer long, the old man painted pictures of the birds that visited his backyard. There were whirlybirds and bonga birds, baby birds and yaba birds. Even a rare flugelbird came by once or twice. Fuchswire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. Oops, it's not baby birds, it's baba birds. I've never seen a baba bird. When the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter, as they did every year, and that he would be lonely. Then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Fuchswire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. There's a lot of yummy bird seed. But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. Not many people know this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all the woodland creatures. In fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrel spit. They are also excellent at math. There's a little abacus there. Winter was fast approaching, and the squirrels needed to gather as much food as they could to get ready, so they decided to take some of the bird food. The birds were not happy. Neither was Old Man Fuchswire, and when he discovered what had happened, he shook his old man fist and yelled, "Those darn squirrels!" Look at his fist. It's kind of a silly picture, I think. He filled up the bird feeders again, but this time he hung them from a clothesline. Then he went back inside, confident that the squirrels would no longer be able to get to the seeds and berries. But the squirrels were determined. They devised a plan, and this time they took all the food from the bird feeders. Look at them working together. Funny. The birds were furious. "Humph, humph, humph," yelled the bonga bird. "Those darn squirrels," yelled Old Man Fuchswire. "Yum," said the squirrels. Look at them all satisfied and chubby on the tree. Now, it was Old Man Fuchswire's turn to devise a plan. He went to the general store to get supplies. He bought lasers and clamps. He bought wires and springs. He bought all sorts of tools and built a veritable fortress around his bird feeders. Then he refilled them very carefully. Na, 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 snorted the flugelbird. Looks like he's got a plan there. The squirrels stayed up all night working out their strategy. They drank cherry cola and ate salt and vinegar chips to help them stay awake. Finally, they had it, the perfect plan. They put on their tiny helmets and prepared to launch themselves into the air over the fence, between the lasers, and on to the bird feeders. Get them their cherry cola. The first squirrel misfired and hit a tree. The second squirrel went too high and landed in a bucket. The third squirrel sailed clear over the house. The birds laughed and laughed. They each had one last delicious mouthful of seeds and berries from the old man's feeders, and then they flew south for the winter, just as they did every year, said the flugelbirds. After the birds left, Old Man Fuchswire was lonely, just as he was every year. He fixed himself some cottage cheese and pepper, his favorite snack, but he was still lonely. When he looked out the window, the squirrels could tell that he wasn't happy. "Go away," shouted the old man. "I don't like you squirrels." He looks very sad. The squirrels had a meeting deep inside a large tree. They decided to give the old man a present to make up for taking the seeds and berries. That squirrel meeting tonight. Not you, kitty. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are not only fuzzy little geniuses, they also collect just about anything they find on the ground. These squirrels had a vast stockpile of spectacular junk to choose from. But what would Fuchswire like? Bottle caps? Popsicle sticks? Postage stamps? Finally, they had the perfect gift. The squirrels stacked all of their loose change on old man Fuchswire's doorstep. There were dimes and pennies, there were nickels and quarters, there were even a few tokens from Coco's arcade. It all added up to $47.36, plus a few rounds of skee-ball. "Maybe you squirrels aren't so bad," Fuchswire said when he found the coins, "but I still like birds better." This gave the squirrels another idea. They raided their junk collection again and got to work. When Old Man Fuchswire woke up the next morning, he was amazed to see that the birds had returned. But wait, those things weren't birds. They were squirrels in disguise. "Great googly moogly," said Old Man Fuchswire. "This will make quite a painting." He ran outside and took down the lasers and the wires and the spring-loaded trapeze. He turned all the bird feeders into squirrel feeders. Then he painted till his brush ran out of bristles. Look at that. They made themselves into birds. Isn't that cool? I love it. How nice. The squirrels were so overjoyed. They had a party in Old Man Fuchswire's house. Inside, "Those darn squirrels," said Fuchswire, and he shook his old man fist and smiled. I love that story. I love how nice the squirrels were. What did you like about the story? I noticed that the squirrels did not give up. They made a plan. They made a design, and they worked it out. And even though they didn't do it right the first time, remember the first squirrel misfired and hit a tree? The second squirrel went too high and landed in a bucket. Third squirrel sailed clear over the house. But did they give up? No, they didn't. Well, thanks for reading this story with me. I hope you liked it. And I'll see you next time.